Today, I'll be asking someone who has vast knowledge of wrestling some general questions, like what era did they watch, and what wrestling match they would recommend for someone who just started watching. Tune into this episode of Wrestling for Beginners. So tell us your name, what you do, and what era of wrestling you started watching in.
My name is Donna McFadgen. I'm a student at Ayrshire College. I'm studying media and broadcasting, and I started watching wrestling around about 1999-2000. So when WWE, or F it was known as that time, was in the peak of the Attitude Era.
So Donna, can you tell us more on the Attitude Era?
Well, the Attitude Era was a time in wrestling where it was right smack bang in the middle of the Monday Night Wars. So WWF, or WWE as it is known now, was feuding with other brands, like the main brand being WCW. And Ted Turner's WCW, they were winning quite a lot in the ratings at that point, up until maybe a certain point when Mick Foley won his first championship. And stupidly enough, they announced that result on the WCW, so everyone switched the channel, and just so they could see Mick Foley, who is like universally loved by wrestling fans. I don't think there's anyone who doesn't like Mick Foley. They switched over channels to see him win his first championship, and ever since then, WWE has absolutely destroyed them in the ratings. And the Attitude Era made stars of people like sort of Triple H, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin. There was a lot of tag team wrestling about at that point as well. So tag teams like Edge and Christian, Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, they brought tag team wrestling up a notch, and they were having such extreme kind of TLC matches, ladder matches. The Attitude Era was based sort of more for college students, I would say, because there was a lot of kind of risky stuff, like the divas, or women wrestlers, or they're known as divas at that time. There was more kind of like swimsuit competitions. It was more to the kind of MTV college kind of jackass type era people. So I think that's mostly in a nutshell what the Attitude Era was all about.
So what would be a great fight from any era would you recommend for new viewers to watch, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think I'm maybe being a wee bit biased, but I'm going to stick to the Attitude Era and say Undertaker versus Mankind, Hell in a Cell, 1998. That's one of the earliest matches I think I watched. I think I watched it on like repeat or on rerun or something, but it was so brutal, but it was so entertaining in a way, because I think there was so many dangerous spots in it. Like Mankind put his body through so much. He'd get flung from the top of like what was like a 10-15 foot cage. He got put through tables, he got slammed through the cage, and I think it's the perfect underdog story, because no matter how many times the Undertaker beat him and he got carried away in a stretcher and he came back in, and he always found a way to get back up, which I thought was really cool. And it's considered to be one of the greatest matches of all time. And even Mick Foley himself has come out once and said that's the most match he gets asked about in his career, and people ask him, does it hurt when you get flung off the cage? To which he replies, well, obviously. So I think that's the main kind of go-to match. I would say that's the match of the Attitude Era.
So what's your least favourite wrestling match, or any controversial moments that happened in that kind of time?
Controversial? I know it's kind of... I love the sketch, the whole skit, this kind of sketch, but I suppose the most controversial one at that time would have to be a segment that happened, I think it was 1996, and it was between sort of like Brian Pillman and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Brian Pillman was at home kind of recovering from an injury, and Steve Austin threatened to show up at his house, which he did, and then the networks never knew, but that there was a gun used in the segment. So basically Brian Pillman pulled out this kind of 9mm gun and threatened to kind of shoot Stone Cold, so the networks had to cut it all out, and there were bits, there were shots fired, but nobody knew who got shot and who didn't, and it was complete chaos. And I think that was when even the censors were like, okay, whoa, no, we want nothing to do with this. So although it is one of my favourite segments for being so chaotic, I would say that is one of the most controversial.
So, the final question. Do you still watch wrestling matches in 2024? And if you do you like them more than the original, or do you like them in more modern?
Yeah, I still watch wrestling today, yeah. There's a lot of good things I like about the modern. Sort of new up and coming superstars, like people like even up and comers, people who have been in the business for a while who are finally getting a shot. Guys like Cody Rhodes, guys like Drew McIntyre, Local Boy. There's a lot of kind of up and coming superstars. Seth Rollins, fantastic champion. Becky Lynch, like just advocate for women everywhere. Same with Charlotte Flair, Bayley. So there's a lot of, I love how there's more female representation now than there was then. But again, my heart always lies with the Attitude Era. It's just something about it. I always just find that the matches there, the riskier the better. The use of like a little bit of blood, a little bit of gore. It was so much better match quality then. But now, again, I'm happy for the more female inclusion.